Grazie ancora e continuiamo con un intervento questa volta ispirazionale che veramente ci darà carica questo pomeriggio. Veronika di PwC Bologna. Prego, lascio a te il palco perché so che abbiamo letto tutti l'abstract del tuo intervento e è talmente forte che non vorrei aggiungere nient'altro.
Grazie. Ciao a tutti. Sono arrivata solo 4 mesi fa in Italia, allora se ho il permesso lo farò in inglese. Grazie. So my name is Weronika Jankowska Tofani. I'm working for PwC Poland since 4 months based in Italy. And I'm here to tell you and share with you my story. That is a path from the entrepreneurship to the corporate business. Okay, so have you ever wondered why women set up a business? Why do we create startups? What's the trigger behind? Do you have any ideas? So to my surprise, for 71% of women, it's about making a difference. That's the main reason why we create businesses. And for men, it's mainly the passion and the freedom. For me, in fact, that was all of those 3 aspects, but the most making a difference. So I was sitting down in my PwC Paris office in 2013, and I got this gut feeling that simply told me I've got to change, I've got to create my company, that I was inspired for a long time with a similar concept in Paris. And I simply did it. I stopped to overthink, I stopped thinking about it, I simply started to do it. And it seemed to me like the Mount Everest at the beginning, but it was enough to go for one startup bootcamp. And in 1 weekend, I created my company. I set up a team. I pitched my concept. I gathered the team members. I hired the developers. And I created a company that was always my dream to have. It was the business promoting entrepreneurial local businesses, something for the women to leverage on and benefit from. And this is when I realized it's worth to believe in your gut feeling. My journey was a roller coaster. I was working before PwC work, waking up at 6, 7 a.m., up until midnight after the job. And I was simply wondering, where do I get this energy from? Like, what's the trigger? How do I make it happen? And this made me realize that I've got the emotions, the feelings on the daily basis that were very close to my heart. It was the excitement. It was the curiosity of meeting new people. It was the learning and development and having the accountability and the responsibility for my own actions. So I realized I don't want to have those emotions only in my professional life. I want to have them entirely in my both professional and personal life. And I started to search for it very, very deeply. Another big trigger in my life was the opportunity to be part of the talent identification program. I don't know how many of you knows about Gallup Strength Finder. Anybody? No? Okay, one person, great. So I warmly invite you to perform this test. It's very easy, and it blew up my mind. It opened up my eyes for my talents that I was not 100% aware of. I knew there were somehow, but this was very explicit for me from then on. And also I performed the values test to understand based on which values I make my decisions and based on which values my decisions derived. And this is how I started to really feel fulfilled. And it's the first time that I'm publicly sharing those talents with you so that you can get to know me better. So those 3 talents were creating from scratch and proactivity. And this is something that in the startup was really, really useful. It was a permanent energy to create, to motivate, to initiate from scratch. And it was about creation that was also very close to my heart. Influencing people and everything around promoting your concept, selling it, negotiating, and connecting people. I had to connect plenty of businesses to work together. And having a vision. So having a strategy, a vision where we want to go as a team. And probably you wonder why, since those three aspects were fulfilled in my startup, why did I decide to change? And to be honest, that was the 2.5 years of experience during which I was having a full-time job, I was developing my business part-time, and I had a kid to manage. So I realized that I've got to make some deadlines and some KPIs that I want to make myself accountable for. So I got this feeling that my KPIs were not met in the time I was expecting it to be met. And then there was also one aspect that was coming over and over of this creating from scratch. So since the companies was already working for a long while, I needed some new motivation to move forward. So that was a very hard decision, but I decided to close down my business. That was really a decision that I had to grow up for. It took me a while to do it. And probably you wonder, how come I came back to a corporate world after setting up my company, having this freedom and the passion for doing what I was doing? And it's simply because I started to know what drives me on. This entrepreneurial experience helped me to really discover myself better, to understand the emotions I want to find in my job, as I mentioned before, to understand what my talents are and which talents I want to leverage on in my future job. So what I started to do, I started to communicate about it. And I'm going to share with you a secret. I never since then applied for a job position. I created my own job role. So I was simply contacting people and the companies I felt are close to my culture and my values. And I started to pitch my idea of how I can help them and what would be my ideal role. And this is what happened. And basically speaking, I created step by step my own ideal role, which was basing on the talents, competencies, and I was openly speaking about my weaknesses. I had like no brainer to hide it from anybody. And this is how I came back to PwC Poland for a totally new role, which was very much close to what I wanted to do. So it was about building new products, around technology and innovation, connecting diversified markets. And the journey began. But it wasn't so easy at the beginning. Another thing I learned was a capacity to dare to say no. There were multiple job roles that were offered to me on the way, and I had to learn how to say no. And I have to admit, once I failed to say no. And this experience taught me that gut feeling is something that is really important. And if only I feel bizarre, weird, uncomfortable about when somebody proposes me a cooperation together, I simply don't go for it. I say no, I'm assertive. That was a long path to learn it, how to make it happen. And so, after 2 years, since when I first pitched my venture building team to be created, a partner came to me and he said, Weronika, I think we are ready now to create the team you wanted to create for a long while, but we were not prepared economically and mentally beforehand. So, thanks to the communication, permanent communication on what was my dream, what were my talents, and saying no pretty often to all of the previous job roles that were offered to me, I managed to be authentic to myself, and thanks to this authentic aspect, I managed to create a job that was perfectly fitting to me, and at the same time, making people realize that these are my strengths and they can capitalize on that. So the real magic happened, and since 2 years, I have a team which is creating new products worldwide. From PwC Poland, we collaborate with countries all around the world by building technology products. And it uses all of my talents. So it's about vision, it's about connecting with people, it's about creating all the time something from scratch. And I realized that it's also satisfying my needs. Freedom. I'm working from Italy for Poland, so you can imagine how much freedom it gives. Passion. And making a difference. Because when we create those products and we see how much we help our stakeholders, it really feels a difference. So with the last word, I just wanted to invite you for asking yourself questions, multiple questions, listening to your body more than to your mind. That's my biggest lesson learned, I think, throughout all of these years. And those questions and listening to your feelings will help you to get to know yourself better and easily create a positive impact in the world of being authentic. Thank you.
Hi.
Any questions?
Yeah, questions. Time for questions. Sorry. Questions.
Thanks.
One question?
Okay, there's a question over there.
Microphone? Ah, two. Love it. Who was? You can use this one.
Hi, congratulations for being true to your authenticity. My question was, which are the biggest challenges you're facing now in your new life in a corporate world?
It's a very good question. I think it's a trade-off between my own vision and my own accountability versus being part of the big corporation and fitting those two worlds together. So it's sometimes getting on compromises, finding compromises rather than forcing your way. But I'm trying to find a balance in those both and have no mercy, no compromise, what's super important for me, while for the other aspects I'm trying to negotiate and get on a compromise.
There was another question down there. I don't know where microphones are. You got one? Microphone.
I can hear you.
Oh.
Okay, they're here.
Thank you for the intervention. Just wondering, you said that you started pitching to corporations your own new role. How did you manage to start the conversation and having them listening to you when you were actually trying to get to them with something new?
You mean when I was searching for a job outside?
Yes. No. When you wanted to get in back.
Within the company?
Yes.
Okay, that's a very good question. I think my sponsor, my mentor, helped me a lot in that. So having a mentor which is more senior and which can help you get connected with other persons, it's a very important thing to have a smoother path of communication about your idea. And then I think the key thing was that I found, so I had a business mentor, and then I found a sponsor of the project that wanted to work on it with me and to be accountable for it. And that was a trigger.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica.
Thank you.
Lovely to see you.